darlings. It has been a long time since I've actually sat down to art. I've been on hiatus. I've been hiating. But I've definitely felt like I was wanting to art today. I'm just going to protect the cover here. Now I'm working on this really bulky book now because of all of the 3D elements that I've got in here. But that's okay. I can adapt and overcome. It's not a problem. And for today I'm thinking I'm going to start with some paint and then just go from there. So I really don't have any idea what I want to do. I'm just essentially playing with like really no plan. Blot this and then use some spray fixative on it. Okay, that is nice and dry. What am I feeling? I'm kind of feeling face, but I'm scared to work on this because of just how 3D this all is. It's going to make it very difficult. So I think what I'll do is I'll start with, this is a white Stabilo. I just want to get an idea of where I would put a face in here. You'll notice I'm being very quick and dirty. Just sort of sketching that in there. So I think what I can do is sort of hold the page. And then we'll give her a hairline. And then journaling blocks as hair is always fun. Or hair as journaling blocks. So let's try that. So I think to get this this female shape in here, I'm going to grab a Permapaque marker and sketch that in. Now the marker being wet is going to activate the Stabilo All pencil a little bit. That's all good. I'm not worried about it. cuteness. That works for me. And then I'm going to put her eyes in, very simple. All this can be adjusted in a bit. Nose, eyebrow, just a very simple, sweet face. See how easy that was? Boom, there she is. Just putting some more lines in here. I may or may not use the hair as a journaling block. I don't know yet. It really depends on where my thought process goes as I'm working. So let's start working on that little face. I'm gonna grab some titanium buff. Now, if you were wanting to work on a surface that was really conducive to scrubbing, then you could put some clear gesso on this, but I'm really just interested in kind of coloring today. That's sort of where my head is at. So I'm just coloring it in, keeping it really simple. I really love to blend faces with. It's called Potpourri from Stuart Gill. It's a mica paint. It's really, really, really pretty for blending or for shading faces. Normally I would dry this layer, but I'm not really worried about it today. Just looking for a really simple looking face without a whole lot of really hardcore details. Okay, and for her hair, I think I'll use, this is like a copper color. And then the same quinacridone red that we used in the stamps, I'm going to use that now. Pop a little bit of that in the mouth as well. I'm going to cover over that potpourri with this red. And then I think I'll use this red to glaze the background and kind of let it be sort of a unifying force. So I'm just making a really wet application of this red. And I'm just going to go over everything I've done so far in the background. Not her face, not her torso. And then I'm going to let that dry for a couple seconds. And then blot. So this helps to kind of unify the background a bit. I find it a very sort of dramatic addition to any background. And then I have a little bit of this red on the paper towel. I'm just going to dab that into her cheek, a little bit in her forehead. And then I'm going to dry this completely. Once this is completely dry, I will be adding a layer of clear gesso. I'm not going to record that because who wants to watch that? So I'll dry this, add the clear gesso, dry it again, and then I'll be back to finish this up. So first thing I'm going to do now that this is all dry is just sort of refine some of these details. Now in and around her face, I don't want to use the black marker. I want to use charcoal. So this is a woodless charcoal. This is Fusane. I get it at Curry's art supply store. I'm really not sure where else to buy it, but I'm sure if you did a Google search, you could find it. I love woodless charcoal. It's very compressed, so it's very easy to work with. It doesn't break easily. Nothing I hate more than trying to work with something and it breaks. It also keeps your fingers relatively clean in comparison with other charcoals. Just putting a little bit of shadow here and there. Grabbing a tortillon and just kind of scrubbing that out, creating some pretty soft shadows. You can see that this is just not nearly as harsh as the black marker would have been. So it's just really nice. And then I'm going to do the same thing around her. Just kind of pop her right up off the page. Alright, I want to add a little bit of white to her face, just to bring in some highlights. And now that I've got this clear gesso on here, I'll be able to do that in kind of a scrubby way. You know, dab the paint on there and then scrub it out a little bit, blend it in. Grab my tiny little detail brush. Put some lights in her eyes. Just gonna touch this up a little bit here, this eyelid. Oh, she's so pretty. So pretty. I'm not sure what to write. I'm not really feeling, you know, actual sentiment at this point. Like, I'm not getting anything. Let me just adjust here. I'm just gonna adjust her face a little bit. So while I'm doing this kind of tending work, I can see, you know, if there's anything coming up for me, if there's anything that she wants to say. So far, nothing though. I feel like it needs something, but I'm not sure what. So I'm just rubbing some white paint, very diluted white paint, just to kind of push this background back just a little bit. I'm just kind of sort of creating space for her to be right now. And then while that, it's fine that it's a little bit damp, I'm going to go ahead and do another glaze. this very, very wet Quinn red. See how unifying that is? And it's not like you're losing the layers before, you're just bringing them together. And then again, I'm just going to blot, which will leave some interesting impressions in the wet paint. I love it. I don't know if there's anything more I need to do with this, or if I can let this be. I may want to come back and do some journaling in it. Just pull this back so you can get the full picture. I may come back and do some journaling in it. I would especially like to, you know, do some writing in her hair. I just don't have a sentiment in mind right now. The only thing that's in my head right now is something that I painted. I used a lyric from a song in Moonshine a couple of weeks ago. It's Anthem by Leonard Cohen. You know, that's really coming into my head, but I feel like I've already used it. But maybe I'll start with that. So I'll just do that up around the top of her head, just so we have at least some text to get us started. There, that's better. So that kind of gives us at least a start. And then maybe some dottage. That really works for me. So I'm going to date this. It's the 4th month. The 8th day. I know you guys are getting this on the 9th, but for me it's the 8th. And then I'm going to let the rest sort of percolate. If I want to come back to it and do some writing in this hair, I certainly could. There's nothing stopping me. But for right now, I'm liking it the way it is. Just one more little touch here. Tiny bit of white paint. Just want to put a little highlight. And I don't want it that bright, so I'm just sort of dabbing it out. And then I'll glaze over that. She has a pretty glossy lip. Yay! So that's it for Wildly Inspired for this episode. There will not be another episode for 2 weeks, so I'll see you soon. Big smoochies. Bye!